Hello everyone, I am Denise Ansoriley. I am pursuing a Master's of Science degree in Special Education at the Walden University. My main aim here today is to advocate for change to reduce or possibly eliminate stereotyping of children with dyslexia in inclusive and exclusive schools in Jamaica. Before I begin my presentation, I will clarify important terms such as special education, stereotype, dyslexia, inclusion, and exclusion. The Ministry of Education in Jamaica, Special Education Unit 2015, defined special education as, and I quote, the educational provision for children whose levels of functioning deviate from the norm such that special programs are necessary to facilitate or foster optimum learning, end of quote. Stereotype, as defined by the American Heritage New Dictionary of Cultural Heritage, is, and I quote, a generalization usually exaggerated or oversimplified and often offensive that is used to describe or distinguish a group. Dyslexia is defined by McDonald 2009 as an inability to read at the levels of one's age or intelligence level. According to Dig Jamaica 2015, inclusion is a practice of teaching students with special needs in regular classes with the necessary accommodations and services, and exclusion is a practice of teaching students with special needs in facilities that offer only special education. The teaching style, classrooms, the curriculum should focus on special education. The issue of stereotyping students with a learning disability, dyslexia, is common in many of our upgraded high schools in Jamaica, where several students have entered and are unable to read or write. Students who have entered this institution have not received a psychological assessment. As a result, students who are unable to read and write were stereotyped by some teachers, regular students, and community members. Students continued to experience stereotyping throughout their tenure at the high school level, and most students, especially boys, dropped out of school. Students' dropouts were as a result of students' frustration, low self-esteem, and lack of support from parents. The issue of stereotyping of students with learning disabilities was brought to my attention while volunteering at a special education school and at an upgraded high school in Jamaica where I practiced my pedagogical skills. Students were often referred to by some teachers, regular students, parents, and community members as dunce and fool-fool. Dunce and fool-fool were colloquial terms used to describe one's inability to read and write. Read 2010, a Gleaner reporter, highlighted a report made by the Office of the Children's Advocate who said that there was a short staff in the school system to address the needs of children with disability. The Office of the Children's Advocate also stated that learning disabilities such as dyslexia was not easily detected. The representative of the Office of the Children's Advocate urged that children should be observed for symptoms of learning disabilities and the relevant interventions be made to deal with the disability. The Office of the Children's Advocate stated, and I quote, "The early intervention screening and diagnostic program for children and households being developed by the Early Childhood Commission are welcomed and should be given urgent attention. End of quote. Reid 2010 made mention of Colin Blair, Director of Communication in the Ministry of Education, who admitted to the lack of widespread screening that is being done to identify children with dyslexia until grade 3 at the primary level. Blair told the news team that a special education policy was being developed to address the early identification of children with special needs. Blair explained that part of the policy is to identify children with special needs, screen and assess them formally to determine their categorization and placement. The Ministry of Education was embarking on using academic and cognitive awareness mechanisms to identify children with special needs. Blair also revealed in 2010 that the Ministry of Education was looking to start the intervention to identify students with special needs at grade 1. This policy is presently in place in the primary schools. According to Blair 2010, the Ministry of Education was embarking on a restructuring of schools to get special education institutions to be primary and secondary schools. Based on my experiences with children who attend an inclusive school, students were viewed by community members as being rude and disruptive. They often fight on the streets and display other unacceptable behaviors. Community members would make negative comments such as, and I quote, "He's stupid, he does know better," end of quote. In the minds of community members, children who attend special school, negative behaviors were as a result of their learning disabilities. Teachers within the environment that I teach, as well as other teachers, complained that students who cannot read are often disruptive and they were unable to deal with the challenges of teaching them. Teachers confessed of dragging their feet to express their feeling of not wanting to attend classes in which those students were placed. Teachers often prayed for more special educators to be placed in the inclusive schools, like several of our upgraded high schools, to assist them. According to a UNESCO report done in 2008, Ms. Salome Ephraim believed that creating an education system for all children to learn is realistic but challenging. Embracing education for all gives rise to not only basic education but to quality education with moral support as well as political and economic backing. Jamaica is a part of several international conventions that ensure the political and civil rights of persons with disabilities. These international conventions include the World Declaration on Education for All, to which Jamaica is committed and supported by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and the Conventions on the Right of the Child give credence to the value Jamaica places on education as an urgent national development. This commitment is grounded in the philosophy that every child can learn, every child must learn. The Convention on the Rights of the Child reminds us that children, while retaining their entitlement to the full range of human rights, are often marginalized or excluded and require additional safeguards. However, within the constituency of children, particular groups remain vulnerable to further risk factors, requiring additional interventions from the state. These policies are reminders that children in our care need to be treated well amidst their challenges. Therefore, teachers should not seek to stereotype children with dyslexia. Instead, they should ensure that all students in their care are protected from stigmatization and marginalization. The Jamaica Teachers Association Codes of Ethics Amendment 1992 about children states the following: teachers should act towards students in a respectful and dignified manner. Teachers should not discriminate against students on the basis of class, color, creed, status, religion, or political belief. Teachers should not intentionally expose students to embarrassment or disparagement. Therefore, teachers who stereotype students with dyslexia have broken the code of ethics stipulated by the Jamaica Teachers Association. I will give an annotation of the data and findings related to the issue of stereotyping of students with dyslexia. Higgins E. et al. 2002, Stages of Acceptance of a Learning Disability, The Impact of Labeling, Volume 25. This article explored the stages of acceptance of a learning disability and the impact of labeling. The author began by describing part of a 20-year study that traced the lives of a group of 41 individuals with learning disabilities. The authors began by giving an overview of the research, the type of research, and the aim of the research. The collection of data was done to gather feedback on what occurs within the first decade and the second decade of the participants' development. The data analysis was a finding procured from the first and the second decades. The data analysis led to an understanding of participants' self-awareness and their general self-awareness. The authors grappled with the validity of the results presented in the findings and had decided to clarify misconceptions of important terms used in the research by providing direct and relevant quotes taken from the interviews. The findings from the research revealed participants' acceptance of their disabilities and further explained the different stages in which they had accepted their learning disabilities. The author made their discussions-based findings that revealed details on acceptance. The discussion also included the various challenges faced by persons with learning disabilities and comparisons made between persons with learning disabilities and other disabilities. The research ended with an explanation of the implications of the findings for persons with learning disabilities. McDonald S.J. 2009, Towards a Social Reality of Dyslexia, British Journal of Learning Disabilities. In this article, the author explored the social reality of dyslexia. The author began by giving an overview of the concept of learning disabilities and the various supports given to persons with learning disabilities. The writer further explained the different views held by researchers on learning difficulties and highlighted the negative and positive effects of labeling persons with learning disabilities. The writer's definition of dyslexia came from various sources. The writer's idea of an anti-labeling and labeling approaches came from theorists and researchers. After the explanations of the methodologies used to collect data on persons with dyslexia, the author further revealed his findings on the impact of dyslexia on each participant. The author highlighted the symptoms of dyslexia, the technological support for people with dyslexia, and the impact of technological support on the lives of persons with dyslexia. The author later revealed the perceptions of dyslexia by the participants. The article ended with further details on the aim of the research and clarified the misconceptions placed on labeling. Lipsit, AD 1998, A Teacher's View, Inclusion Has Helped Everyone Involved. Brown University Child and Adolescent Behavior Letter. This article explored a teacher's view on the benefits of inclusion. The author began her article by highlighting the negative views or labels placed on persons with disabilities. The author further discussed her experiences at Vermont schools and the integral roles being played by them in the inclusion of persons with learning disabilities. The author highlighted a strategy that bridged the gap between regular and special education through reverse mainstreaming. The author ended her article by highlighting the importance of inclusion and the negative effects of labeling persons with disabilities. I am advocating for changes to be made by the Ministry of Education in Jamaica to assist with providing training to interested regular teachers at a reduced cost in special education. Since 1998, all teachers in training were required to do a module in special education to sensitize teachers on the wide range of exceptionalities and teachers' approaches before an intervention. I believe that this training is not enough. Therefore, there needs to be an in-depth training of teachers in special education so that teachers are more qualified to teach students with dyslexia in the general school system. Secondly, I am advocating for an ongoing workshop for administrative staff, parents, and teachers at the general and special education schools that will assist them in understanding dyslexia. Workshops should be conducted by the special education unit within the Ministry of Education in Jamaica, psychiatrists and other experts in the field. One of the aims of the workshop is to promote an awareness of the issue of dyslexia and to assist administrative staff, parents, and teachers in dealing with the issue. The ongoing workshops will aim at reducing stress and frustration among teachers, parents, and administrators. The workshops will also guide teachers in accomplishing their roles as individuals who desire to eliminate stereotyping of students with dyslexia. Finally, I'm advocating for a mandatory mentorship program to be in place by the school's administrations and other stakeholders for new teachers to transition into the school's program, whether in an inclusive or exclusive environment. As part of the new teachers mentorship program, they will be reminded of the policies related to dyslexia. New teachers will receive mentorship on how to be respectful to students amidst the challenges they may face. I believe teachers who show respect to their students will at no time seek to stereotype them. The rationale for choosing the solutions proposed is to reduce or alleviate the issue of stereotyping of students with dyslexia within inclusion and exclusive education. This rationale is in line with the Ministry of Education in Jamaica policy. Every child can learn. Every child must learn. This policy is a reminder that teachers should find every means by which children can learn, and teachers should reduce any form of hindrances to students' learning, including stereotyping. Special educators within this inclusive and exclusive school setting will assist with mentoring of new teachers. Special educators will see the need for advocating for changes in stereotyping of students with dyslexia because they were trained to teach students with special needs. Special educators will take the initiative to advocate for changes to other issues that may affect them in the future. General educators who work in the inclusive and exclusive setting would be encouraged to get training in the area of special education. Teachers' need for training is as a result of the focus to reduce the negative stigma being placed on students with dyslexia. Through ongoing workshops, general education teachers will gain a better understanding of how to monitor and teach students with dyslexia without stereotyping them. The issue to reduce stereotyping of students with dyslexia in inclusive and exclusive schools also has implications for administrators. Administrators will participate in preparing staff members for the workshop by including in the curriculum specific time for teachers to attend workshops. Administrators will also participate in training and can assist with mentoring new and other teachers who might encounter difficulties in understanding students with dyslexia. Students within the inclusive and exclusive schools through the initiative to reduce stereotyping will help students to improve their self-esteem. Students will be more eager to learn, and students' learning will eventually improve. The reduction or elimination of stereotyping of students with dyslexia will reduce the number of dropouts that occur yearly, especially among boys. Parents and other family members will become knowledgeable about the issue. Based on the training that parents will receive, parents would make it their duty to speak with other family members about the issue so that family members will be better able to deal with children who are dyslexic. Finally, family members will be encouraged to acquire training themselves because of the need to gain more knowledge on dyslexia and the negative effects of stereotyping. Community members will eventually change their negative attitudes towards children with dyslexia. Through teachers' mentorship program, I'm advocating that a program be in place to monitor students who display disruptive behaviors at school and on the street. I believe that my proposed change will reduce the negative behaviors of students so that community members will change their negative attitudes towards inclusive and exclusive schools that accommodate children with dyslexia. I am certain that my proposed issue and solutions will help administrators, parents, and teachers to advocate for changes on other issues that might affect them. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Thank you.